Tonight's speech is going to be slightly different than in years past, and not just because of timing. We're going to start off a little bit on a low note, and then we are going to ascend to a high note. Dwayne, I made that pun for you. Because we're not only here to celebrate the beginning of a new chapter, but also reflect on the path that has led us here. Now, if you know me, radical candor is my love language. I'm not very good at sugarcoating things, and even when I try to sit back and stay quiet, my face will do the talking for me. So I would be remiss not to acknowledge publicly that the last few years have been, let's just say, dynamic and impassioned at IAEM. Many of us have experienced or watched unfold via social media IAEM go through some challenging times. And my presence here this week as your president, starting my term 5 months earlier than planned, is a reflection of those times. However, I will not let this define this era for IAEM. Because the truth of the matter is, we stand at a pivotal moment in time, one that I believe will be looked back on as a year of reconciliation, resolution, recommitment, and transformation. Today, I stand before you not just as your president, but as a fellow emergency manager who sees that we have much work to do. And not just at IAEM, it is so much bigger than us. Our association and the profession are changing. Some of it's good, and some of it's scary for those of us that have been around for a little bit. Federal grant reductions, or the threat of them going away in their entirety. New federal oversight entities nitpicking at what we do. More EM agencies across the country being reorganized under other departments. Myths of disinformation spreading like wildfire after each disaster, and not just your recent ones. It affects their survivors, but it's killing our spirits as emergency managers. We're in a state of permacrisis. Something is always happening, and it feels like we can never catch up. It's an understatement to say that I've had a lot on my mind lately, but this is the part where my unrelenting grit and stubbornness become a strength. Because my concerns always pivot to a laser-like focus on reshaping the future and then working with others to help us get there. So it might sound bleak, but trust me, I have not lost any hope. From where I sit, I see that emergency managers around the country have an opportunity to shape the future, to tell and sell our story a little bit differently, to grab a seat at the executive table, and to gain the much-deserved respect and recognition from chief electeds and chief executives everywhere.
Yep.
And I believe that IAEM can be the one to lead the charge for all of emergency management, but we cannot do it alone in our silos, and we certainly cannot help to accomplish this if we are a house divided. Emergency managers everywhere must work together to build a stronger tomorrow, no matter who we represent or where we live. Public, private, nonprofit, higher ed, utilities, uniformed services, transportation, healthcare, it really doesn't matter. Emergency managers must start advocating for the same things, and we must get loud. Song from Monday morning when I took the stage right after the video. What was the song? Danger Zone. Thank you. Kenny Loggins and Top Gun. You remember. So that song choice wasn't a mistake. I mean, I love Top Gun. I'm a child of the 80s. That's true. But for me, I know, the song and the movie represent courage, grit, risk, and creative problem solving. And as I look to emergency management, where we've been, what's in front of us, and what's influencing us, I see that we have the same opportunity to push the limits. If you remember nothing else from this week or this evening, I want you to remember this. This is the year I want all of us to channel our inner mavericks. Mavericks think outside the box in pursuit of innovative ideas. They are known for their boldness, self-reliance, and they are trailblazers in their fields. They don't just go along to get along. They challenge the status quo of what has always been in search for a better tomorrow. Now, the world around us is telling us it's time that we need to think differently, we need to operate differently, and we need to pivot to meet the needs of modern society. We need to ask the tough questions of ourselves. Who are we? How do we want to be prioritized and resourced and organized? And what does an emergency manager do? How do we blend the sage wisdom of those that came before us, born of civil defense, with the energy and innovation of the emerging professionals that are rising? These are all very real questions right now, and it's going to take each and every one of you to help our profession progress. So I challenge each of you to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and to play an active part in defining the future. And just like the profession, IAEM has an opportunity to transform and grow, to meet the needs of our evolving membership base. We're in our Phoenix era, as I like to say for all the Swifties out there. Yeah. So I know that together, we will rise and not let the decisions and actions of the past keep us from growing into the association of tomorrow. We need to channel our inner mavericks and be bold with where we go from here. So what I'd like to do here is just outline a few of the strategic initiatives that we've been putting into place over the last few months to help us transform into that association of tomorrow while leading the charge for the profession. The themes are transparency, relationships and strategic coordinated action, member engagement, and stewardship. First, transparency. If you haven't seen it yet, I published the first ever State of the Association address available for everyone, including the public, on IAEM's website. This address is a quarterly update where I'll be sharing information about current activities and ongoing strategies that we're working on. And I will commit to providing updates, facts, and statistics in a largely unfiltered, candid, and straightforward approach, as only I know how to do. And all of this is just to be more transparent with the membership. Second, thank you. Relationships and strategic coordinated action. I hope to build a stronger bond and a tighter relationship with other groups in the industry, like Big City Emergency Managers, the National Emergency Management Association, and the National Association of Counties, just to name a few. That is not an exhaustive list. Now, our Government Affairs Committee has always had tight ties with these groups. We all work together on legislative items. But I believe there are other really big ticket industry things that we need to be collaborating on and coordinating on. Now, we held our first group meeting with big cities and NEMA just last week, where we discussed initial plans for an industry-wide coordinated advocacy event, which will be coming to you later in 2025. So more details will be shared about this coordinated advocacy event, but it's these kinds of external strategic engagements that I believe IAEM should be focused on to help us steer towards the future and to put IAEM in the driver's seat. Third, member engagement and communications. So if you didn't see the poster or attend the few breakout sessions earlier that we had this week, we have established a new community and member engagement committee. Now, the idea behind this new committee is relatively straightforward. Its functions will include those that we find under public information, external affairs, and communications within emergency management. But this group is also going to be spearheading our advocacy, branding, and awareness messaging to help us tell our story. And they'll also boost member engagement through group collaboration and content and information sharing across all platforms. There is so much energy and excitement around this new group. I highly encourage you to read about it in the State of the Association address and then consider participating as we move forward together. Now, those are just a few of many, many, many items that IAEM has been working on that I believe will transform our association while impacting the industry. My vision has always been to use my term as president to lift up our association and to collaborate with others beyond IAEM to unite our efforts as a profession and to move us forward. And as I've always done, I will leverage the experiences of our mentors, all while strategically putting the chess pieces in place to make sure the next generation is able to carry the torch. So that is servant leadership and stewardship. As we look to the future, I am filled with optimism, and I am fortunate to have a fantastic team on the board with staff as well as committee, caucus, and commission leadership to help us get there. And to everyone else in this room, I am so happy that you are here because we need to rally together, and I cannot do this alone. And there's no other team I would rather work with than this one. So with that, if you'll indulge me for 2 more minutes, I will be brief, but I would like to recognize some folks in the room who mean a lot to me personally.